Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about everything that I read in the month of December, and I'm actually filming this a little bit early and have several days to the end of the month, but I knew that today was going to be the last day I would have time to film and edit a video, so we're just gonna do this early. Of course, that means I will be showing you what I have already read this month, as well as what I'm currently in the middle of and hope to finish before the end of 2015. Starting off in the month of December, I reread Song of Myself by Walt Whitman, who, for those of you who don't know, was an American poet who was widely regarded to be the father of, is it free verse? Blank verse? I'm not sure. I'm bad at poetry. I have no idea. Like you guys know, I am not really a poetry person or somebody who really picks up poetry on a whim or just for kicks and giggles, but this is something that I have reread several times now since I first read it in high school, and it's a piece of work that I really go back to when I'm feeling kind of down about the overall state of humanity, which is definitely how I was feeling earlier this month, especially because of the various attacks that have gone on around the world this year, as well as the state of American politics at the moment. This poem deals a lot with what it means to be an American, but more importantly, for what I was looking for, it also talks a lot about what it means to be a human being in relation to not only other human beings, but in relation to the natural world. And honestly, I'm incapable of reading this and coming away in a bad mood, so it did exactly what I was hoping it was going to do, and I will definitely be returning to this in the future for probably exactly the same reason. Also in the month of December, I listened to the audiobook version of Memoirs of a Geisha by Arthur Golden, and I absolutely loved it. This is a story following the young girl named Chiyo, who was born into a small, poor Japanese fishing village. When Chiyo is still a young girl, her mother falls sick and dies, and unable to care for his daughters any longer, her father sells both Chiyo and her sister Tatsu into slavery, and they are taken to Kyoto. Once they arrive in Kyoto, Chiyo is immediately separated from her sister and taken to live in the geisha district of Gion. Once in Gion, she comes into the care of a specific geisha house where she works as a maid and begins the difficult journey of becoming a geisha herself. Looking back on it now, I can really see that Arthur Golden did his research down to the tiniest detail, but in the moment listening to the story, it was really easy to forget that it's fiction at all. And I think that's mainly because he wrote it in first-person narration, so it seems like Chiyo is just telling you the story of her life. It's also been a very long time since I was this sucked into a novel and where I could really distinctly picture all of the physical space that Chiyo was existing in and all of the characters that she was interacting with. Honestly, Arthur Golden's writing is so incredibly vivid. It's definitely one of the most amazing books that I've read all year. I would also highly recommend the audiobook, which is narrated by Bernadette Dunn, who does a phenomenal job not only voicing Chiyo, but creating really distinct voices for each of the characters. I did only give this novel 4 stars and not 5, mainly because I found Chiyo pretty frustrating towards the end of the novel. I felt like she kind of plateaued a bit in terms of her character development. I know I shouldn't be talking about this like it's a YA love triangle, but I really did not understand her obsession with the chairman at all, really. And I was kind of more on the side of Nobu, and I wanted Chiyo to realize that this is a man that has loved her literally from the first time he met her and has done everything for her and has literally saved her life multiple times. I just felt like she was really shallow with him and couldn't get past his physical deformities. I don't even know. She just, I was upset about that, but for the most part, I really enjoyed this novel and would highly recommend it to anybody who's anybody. Then in December, I also finally finished The Two Towers by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is a book that I first started back in February of this year, and I've decided that I should just give up trying to read Tolkien any other time of the year than December, because apparently that's when I always read him. Obviously, this is the second volume in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and it did not disappoint in the slightest, though it did have a completely different feel for me than The Fellowship of the Ring. In The Fellowship, I felt like Tolkien was doing something really new and fresh, and like he was creating a whole new mythology that nobody had ever known about before. But in this volume, I felt like I could see the source material a little bit more. Maybe that's just because I took a lot of medieval literature courses when I was in undergrad and actually took one course specifically focusing on Lord of the Rings. But for example, Rohan just felt very reminiscent of Beowulf for me, and I don't know, it just, all in all, it didn't feel quite as fresh and new. Regardless, I still really enjoyed this, and I was pretty surprised that I didn't seem to have the same problem with the break between books 3 and 4 as I did when I tried to read this previously. That is when we stop following Legolas, Gimli, and Aragorn and go and follow Sam and Frodo. And I think that's mainly because I currently find Sam to be one of the most compelling and complex characters in the whole trilogy, and I'm really enjoying seeing him kind of be super badass. That's, you know, that's where this one leaves off. Of course, since I have now finished with this, I have picked up The Return of the King, and I am literally just there. I just started the first couple of pages of the first chapter, but this was my only goal for 2015, really, was to complete The Lord of the Rings, and I am so close, I can taste it, and I'm very excited to read this one in particular because this is the only volume that I have previously left completely unread. I know this one's a bit of a chunker, but I'm pretty confident that I can finish it before the end of the year because most of this back portion, this whole back portion actually, is all appendices, which I feel like I don't necessarily have to read to check this off on my Goodreads challenge. But we shall see. I'll probably read it anyways. I am also still in the middle of Teach Us to Outgrow Our Madness by Kenzaburo Oye. This is a collection of 4 novels, and I'm almost done with the first one in here. But the language in the first one, the writing style, is very hard for me to get through. So I'm hoping that once I get through that one, I will go faster through the other 3. But I'm not super optimistic about finishing this before the end of the year. I am also currently in the middle of Japanese Homes and Lifestyles by Kazuya Inaba and Shigenobu Nakayama, but this is something, again, I've been dipping in and out of since summer. It has a lot of really amazing illustrations focusing on the interiors of homes and businesses in historical Japan, and I really like that they don't only show you the diagrams, but they also talk about the historical and cultural kind of climate that helped shift architecture in that direction. So if I finish all of those, I will still be 1 book short of my 30 book Goodreads challenge for the year, so I am going to try and listen to the Neil Gaiman narration of A Christmas Carol that is available on SoundCloud. I cannot remember for the life of me which library is providing that recording, but I will link it in the description in case you guys want to give that a listen as well. Alright, so this is what I have read in the month of December, and I'm actually really happy to say that this has been one of the better reading months this year, and by that I mean I've really enjoyed most of what I've read. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know what your favorite book of the month was down below, and I will see you in my next video. Have a good one, and happy holidays. Bye!